Hey, this is Joe at Barber Electronics. On the bench today, we have a pretty rare pedal, the Barber Edge Hog. So not much written about this pedal. We're going to start with a sound test. I've got a couple of the dry pedals here we're going to compare it to. After that, we're going to crack it open, pull out the guts. I'll trace the circuit and draw a schematic, and then we'll finish up by comparing it to some other pedals you may know. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around. Let's start out with that sound test. Got 3 drive pedals lined up. We've got the Klon Centaur, the Barber Edge Hog, and the Proco Rat on the end. So this is my clean tone. I have a Trainer YBA1 SM57 right on the cone of a 1x12 cabinet. So there's the clean tone. Let's kick in the Klon. Kick up the gain a little bit. There's the Klon sound. Let's bring in the Edge Hog. So immediately, way more edge, way more harsh distortion. We're probably going to hear much similar sound now from the Rat. Switch back to the Edge Hog now. Back to the Rat. Back to the Edge Hog. Yeah, so you can hear, compare the Rat with the Edge Hog. There's a lot more low end. It's a lot thicker where the Rat bites a little bit upper in the high end. And this is with the filter on the Rat rolled to the low end pretty hard. Let's see if we can dial it in to be as similar as possible. They're definitely pretty similar in sound, certainly compared to the Klon. The Edge Hog's just got more bass in it. Yeah, so that was a sound test. Rat and Edge Hog obviously going to have some similarities. Let's just run through the Edge Hog controls and hear what it sounds like going over its different options here. So obviously volume control is straightforward. Yeah, so that's what the pedal sounds like. So let's move to the next step and we will have a look inside. All right, so here's the inside of the Barber Edge Hog. So just looking around, the board here appears to be pretty homemade looking. I'll give you a better shot of it later. It looks like a single op amp. A couple probably pull down resistors right here. We got a little bundle of something there. Have an idea what that might be, but we'll do some measurements on that first before we try cutting that off to see if we can determine what it is without having to modify the pedal too much. I've seen these foot switches in other pedals. They're a little fragile, so if you have a pedal that has these foot switches, you want to be careful. I think if you step on it too hard, they can crack. It's probably true for most foot switches, but I believe for this one is especially the case. All right, let's pull out the guts. All right, got the innards out after a little bit of struggle. They use a really strong adhesive for this board here. But there we go. There's the circuit board. You can see there. Should be readable now. That is a 4558 dual op amp. Alpha pots, 25 millimeter. jacks look like. Neutrik or Switchcraft. Yeah, so next step, I'm going to trace out the circuit, draw up a schematic, and we'll have a look at that in a second. All right, so here we are with the Barber Electronics Edge Hog schematic. I just finished tracing this out. There's not a whole lot surprising looking at the schematic. In the audio test, we determined that it sounded fairly similar to the Proco Rat, and in circuit, it also has similarities to the Rat, as well as another pedal that I want to show you. Let's go through the schematic here and just have a quick look. So fairly standard setup on the input here, pull down resistor, input cap, 470K, bias resistor for the op amp, feedback loop. We got a cap in the feedback loop, fairly low value, it's normal. Pretty standard 1 meg gain control with a 20K, kind of tames the gain control, makes it work the way the designer wanted. And then some filtering coming off the feedback loop. Some more filtering here on the output of this op amp stage, heading into hard clipping here with some germanium diodes. I did measure these. They were coming out about 0.25 volts forward voltage. And we got back-to-back diodes, so symmetrical clipping, or as symmetrical as the diodes are. Edge control here is going to be like a treble control. The Proco Rat has the same thing. It's called a tone control or a filter there. Again, standard bias resistor, and then we go into this bass control here that's sort of in the feedback loop of this op amp, and then straight out here into the volume control. So all that is pretty straightforward. Power supply, again, is pretty straightforward. We got our reverse polarity protection. This is the indicator LED. It's going to be on a switch. A little filter resistor, and then some capacitor filtering, and then our two 10K resistors to give us our half supply voltage for the op amps. Moving over here to the Proco Rat schematic. You're going to see a lot of similarities, of course. Same thing, pull down resistor input cap, 1 meg bias resistor instead of the 470K. It's not a huge difference. They do have a little extra resistor in here, as well as a capacitor. It's just going to be filtering. Of course, the Rat uses a single op amp, where the Barber, the Edge Hog, uses a dual op amp. But that's because the Proco Rat has a JFET output buffer rather than the second op amp. But same thing, we have a distortion control in the feedback loop, some filtering on the output, same 4.7K on the output of this op amp, the LM308. Into hard clipping diodes. This is silicon diodes. The Edge Hog is germanium diodes right there. And then of course we have our tone control, which is the same as the edge control here for the Edge Hog. And there's our tone cap going to ground. And then this goes into, like I said, a JFET buffer, whereas in the Edge Hog is going into this second op amp stage, which has the bass control in it. It also has similarities to the MXR Distortion Plus here. So same thing as the Rat, where it has just a single op amp stage here. But same thing, we have, well, this one has a filter cap on the input. This one, it doesn't have that resistor, the pull down resistor, but we still have an input cap, still have the bias resistor, still have the filtering coming off the feedback loop. This has a fixed resistor in the feedback loop, but the distortion control is actually in the filter at the ground. Same thing, we're coming out with a cap and a resistor here out of the output of the op amp, and then this one does have symmetrical germanium diodes coming off the op amp, and this one just goes straight out to the output. You can see that there are similarities to previous designs. This one does incorporate this bass control, which I thought it sounded pretty good. I do find it hard sometimes to find a sound I like with the ProCat tone control. So I think this control gives some more flexibility to that low end. But yeah, there's nothing groundbreaking in this design. It's definitely iterating off previous designs like the Proco Rat, in the same way the Proco Rat iterated off designs like the MXR Distortion Plus. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that video checking out the Edge Hog from Barber Electronics. Shout out to Electro Smash for these schematics on the Proco Rat and the MXR Distortion Plus. I put links to their articles on those pedals. Go check them out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate you hitting the like button, and feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this. I am Joe from Great Bench Electronics. Thank you for watching.